From the CISO Series, it's Cybersecurity Headlines.
New phishing opportunities through ChatGPT. U.S. military gets cybersecurity boost, and new items on the McDonald's menu, the McPassword. These are some of the stories that my colleagues and I have selected from this past week's cybersecurity headlines, and we are now looking forward to some insight, opinion, and expertise from our returning guest, Jim Bowie, VP and CISO over at Tampa General Hospital. Jim, we had you on last summer. So glad you could be here. I got to ask, though, before we jump into the news, how was your week in cybersecurity?
On one hand, it was good. There were no emergent patches from any firewall vendors or anybody with public facing stuff, but it is budget season here. So administratively, my week has sucked, but overall, it's been good.
All right. Well, we can at least take those takeaways, get into the weekend, and start a new one where, potentially it could get worse. Who knows? So let's be grateful for this moment that we have together, Jim. I'm so glad to be here with you. And I'm also glad for our sponsor for today, Vanta, a new way to GRC. Remember, if you're listening to this show as a podcast, remember, next week you can join us live in our loyal band of vocal experts. Just head on over to YouTube. You can go to CISOseries.com, look for our events page, and you can find the link there. Or you can just subscribe to the CISO Series on YouTube and join us each and every Friday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. We'd love to have you here. If you are here, we'd love to hear your comments. Not hear our comments. We'd like to read your comments in the chat. I guess we could do like a text-to-speech kind of situation, and I could hear them. But we already have CCL and Max Tronica, the big boss man, David Spark, getting into it in the chat, so you can join those fine folks and get in there as well. And if you're listening later, feedback at CISOseries.com. We would love to hear from you. Before we jump into the news, just a quick reminder that these are Jim's opinions that he is going to share, not necessarily those of his employer, his staff, or affiliates. We've got about 20 minutes, so let's jump into the news. First up here, ChatGPT prone to recommending the wrong URLs and creating a new phishing opportunity. Oh, Gen AI, what can't you do? Threat researchers at Netcraft are warning of the propensity of LLMs like ChatGPT and others to offer the wrong information when asked questions like, can you find me the official website to log into my account for, any given brand? They found that the AI would produce the correct web address about 66% of the time, which as long as I checked, is 0 nines of correctness. The Netcraft team points out that phishers could ask for a URL, and then if the top result is a site that's unregistered, hey, go ahead and buy it, and you're doing a phishing site, basically a new version of typo squatting here. Certainly, Jim, nothing new to the fact that cyber criminals are innovative creatures of exploitation, always finding new ways to crime their crime. The issue is more around people's naked trust of LLMs as, a source of wisdom and truth. It's about as naked as a Black Sabbath drummer, you might say. From a CISO standpoint, this becomes similar to standard email phishing, simply following a link out of faith or a lack of time to think critically. I guess in this kind of situation, what are we to do? Is this just an awareness challenge? Is there anything more beyond that?
It depends on where your threat vector is coming from. I mean, first of all, we took Gen AI, we trained it on humans and all human output, and then are surprised when it's wrong 60% of the time. So I don't know, I'm actually surprised it got it wrong only 29% of the time. But from if you're worried about it on your network, you can do the reactive thing that every CISO did at the beginning and just block it. But if you want to start actually, getting to the modern times, you can let it on the network, but if they're on your network, your firewall is going to do the same thing. It's going to block the same links if they're clicking on it. If they're off network, you can look at a proxy, or we've been practicing here. We actually are trialing some things where we just stood up our own instance of it. So it's accessing the web through our own proxy. And so we can shelter kind of what ChatGPT is going out and searching for. So that's another solution.
So you're saying the LLMs learned it from watching us
yes.
Or the fault in our stars, et cetera, metaphor. No, that is some really good practical, advice as opposed to the reactive, hey, shut it all down and they're going to do it anyway. Always good to hear, like, hey, let's work with what people want to do and figure out a way to make everybody better, and we can maybe get a productivity boost while we're getting some URLs massively incorrect. Next up here, U.S. military gets a cybersecurity boost. So Congress has passed and the president has signed a sweeping tax and spending bill that includes hundreds of $1 million in cybersecurity funding. That funding is largely focused on military priorities. Key allocations include $250 million for U.S. Cyber Command's AI initiatives, $20 million for DARPA cybersecurity programs, and $1 million for Indo-Pacific Command's cyber offensive operations. Democrats have criticized the package for excluding funding for CISA. There's a significant cut in there for CISA, arguing it overlooks key threats and weakens federal cybersecurity infrastructure. On the opposite side of the aisle, Republicans argue national defense and military readiness are core drivers of the bill's cybersecurity spending. So, Jim, avoiding the both the sides of the aisle here, just looking at what is in this bill, big increase in funding for military-related cybersecurity. I'm curious, like, how are we supposed to read this as a CISO? How are you reading this in terms of improving, this larger thing of improving national security versus these more smaller focus groups like CISA seeing less funding? I guess how are you viewing that this affects the industry and and as an organization?
You know the meme where there's, I think it's the mom or the dad playing with one kid who's swimming and then the other kid's drowning right behind him?
Yeah.
That's kind of what this one feels like. I'll be honest. Like, you're playing with the shiny thing that looks cool and sounds cool and can be very cool, but you're forgetting your basic hygiene. As an organization that is part of critical infrastructure, it is kind of depressing to see that. I mean, CISA's budget was what, $3 billion last year. This is 1/12 of that. That's a lot of it's a lot of help. Critical infrastructure organizations are drowning. We're constantly under attack. So unless that AI is going to somehow shut up China, Russia, North Korea, and all the, cyber criminals, it's great. I guess they can attack F-22s with F-22 AI. I don't know what they're going to do with it. It's cool, but again, you're ignoring the fundamental problems for the shiny things. Now, private organizations are guilty of that too. Everybody wants to go AI without patching their 2008 servers. So, it's guilty on both elements of it.
Yeah, I guess in that meme, the skeleton at the bottom of the pool that's in the chair, I guess is the cybersecurity poverty line or something along those lines. So it's I from that perspective, it's like, all right, we're looking where all of these threat vectors are coming from. These are a lot of state-sponsored actors. Theoretically, you're throwing money at defense organizations. We've heard talk of increasing offensive cyber operations and stuff like that. I can sort of see that, right? Like, I could see a little bit of a logic. I can see you could be convinced about that. But yeah, seeing what CISA has done over the past 8 years, like across 2 different administrations, in providing tools for smaller organizations that really can't for themselves, providing training, best practices, like literal toolkits. I would have to imagine it's pretty easy to see dividends on that and to see funding slashed, even as CISA has its mandate pared back. Yeah, it's tough to see the logic in that. But hey, DARPA, they invented the internet, so maybe they'll invent cybersecurity 2.0.
Hey, maybe they'll figure out a way to stop it all with the AI they're doing.
Yay, AI! Fingers crossed for AI to solve everything. Hashtag singularity. All right, next up here, new item on the McDonald's menu. The McPassword. McDonald's has a new AI-powered job application bot named Olivia. Jim, you can't laugh before I finish the read here. This is the greatest story of the week. So there's this bot named Olivia who is responsible for screening and instructing job applicants under the company's McHire program, because they're on brand for McDonald's. Security researchers Ian Carroll and Sam Curry discovered that the bot, built by AI software firm Paradox AI, contained simple web-based vulnerabilities, including a doozy of a one, password 123456. This allowed them to query the company's database that held every applicant's chats with Olivia. This means 64 million records that include names, email addresses, and phone numbers. McDonald's brass are clearly not loving this. Maxtronic, there you go. You have your reference there as well. Paradox has admitted the fault, but said that the information was not accessed by any third party other than the researchers, who are just making a big stinking deal about this. Let's face it. So, Jim, it's nice that Paradox pointed out that nothing bad happened that they know of, especially considering that they might be served with a supersized lawsuit pretty soon. I'm curious, though, do you think it might be a good idea to maybe not use the most commonly used password in the world when building an application for the biggest fast food company by revenue, restaurant real estate, toy distribution, restaurant employer in the world? Or am I just being too picky here?
I mean, this is the Spaceballs school of cybersecurity hygiene, right? Like, now I got to go change the password to my luggage. It just, when I read this, I was like, are you absolutely kidding me? And it goes back to, again, like we just talked about, really cool. You're doing AI flashy stuff, but you're still neglecting the hygiene. I mean, that's the biggest thing I'm seeing lately with across many organizations in many industries. They want to advance so fast, be at the forefront, and do all this cool stuff, but it doesn't matter if you don't have your seatbelts and your airbags, right? It's just, and there's no excuse for this. Like if I was McDonald's, I know we're throwing McDonald's out there, but this third party vendor, like I'd be livid, like absolutely livid.
And like the only excuse I can see for this was a default that didn't get changed. That default, like that's a design failure of like that should never even be in the default, right? Like
Yeah.
I understand like maybe keys get hard coded, like, you know, get pushed out to GitHub, like maybe somehow like not 1, 2, 3, like that should never be the placeholder for anything. I'm gonna have to reference though, CPU UK has the comment for this, must have been configured by a clown. Thank you, CPU UK, one of our great chat members, having some fun with this story. We're also going to have some fun with the second half of the show. Before we do that, though, we have to get with our sponsor for today and thank Vanta. Do you know the status of your compliance controls right now? Like right now? We know that real-time visibility is critical for security, but when it comes to our GRC programs, we rely on point-in-time checks. But more than 9,000 companies have continuous visibility into their controls with Vanta. Vanta brings automation to evidence collection across over 35 frameworks like SOC 2 and ISO 27001. They also centralize key workflows like policies, access reviews, and reporting. And it helps you get security questionnaires done 5 times faster with AI. Now that's a new way to GRC. Get started at vanta.com/headlines. That's VANTA.com/headlines. Maxtronic, you're getting in there with the hamburger reference. I get it. I appreciate it. I see you. Honestly, like I could just have an entire compendium of McDonald's puns. There could be some Fry Kids references. If you get those in there, I'll be extraordinarily happy. Just a chef's kiss of a story. We're going to try and have fun with this one because Google being Google here, Google's Gemini, where off doesn't actually mean off. As of last Monday, Google's Gemini AI will be available to access Android apps like phone, messages, WhatsApp, and more, even when users have turned off the Gemini app's activity feature. Oh, you silly user. That setting only stopped the AI from using your data for training, not from tapping into your apps, entirely. These permissions allow Gemini to interact with other apps on a user's behalf, potentially to send messages and make calls. To fully block Gemini's access, users must go into settings and manually revoke permissions for each app. So, Jim, Google has said the information Gemini finds is not kept for long. But again, let's use your CISO instincts and your spidey sense here. Does this not raise a few red flags from a cybersecurity perspective?
There's zero reason to believe that that's actually going to be isolated like they say it is. Like I'm not throwing shade at Google any more than I would show it at Apple. Apple just seems to have a better PR team about it. Coming from law enforcement, I'm letting you know their OS on those phones is capturing all that anyway. Like it's nice they're trying. It feels like gaslighting almost, if I'm even using that term correctly. Like great, and the irritation of having to do it for every single app. We'll get to it later, but like your data is so important to these people. It's worth so much money that you can't believe anything they're saying when they talk about this. This is my cynical tinfoil hat.
Well, and and going back to just Google not having as good PR, this is not the first time they've done something like this. They've repeatedly done this with like location data where there's an offsetting to turn that off. But again, you either have to go into a web portal or you have to go into individual apps and turn that off. We've seen that with their initial Street View kind of opt-out stuff. We've seen this any number of ways where if there is a way to make you to do some privacy theater while they can still get access to all of your data, most big tech platforms, to your point, not calling out Google specifically, but that is a valuable piece of their either revenue or strategy or tech stack or something like that. So they're not alone, but geez, Google, you know how to do it sometimes.
That being said, I do applaud them. Believe it or not, I can't believe my team's going to jump all over me. I applaud them for trying to make AI useful. Like I've always wanted the phone to be actually like, hey, do X, Y, or Z for me. AI is not quite there yet. Hopefully they can get it at some point where it's actually like you can actually talk to your computer and say, open this, do this, write an email, do that, and it'll actually work one day. That would be kind of cool.
And that's the thing, as we're seeing more, well, as we've seen Apple mistakenly advertise that Siri would be able to do similar things.
Yeah.
These capabilities are like genuinely useful. There are actually, like, to your point, really fantastic use cases for this. It would just be nice if we could go into it with eyes wide open of what are the trade-offs that I am consciously making. Allow me to make those trade-offs with some kind of visibility. Most people probably won't care. They're just like, I just want the benefit, whatever, accept all cookies, right? Give me the cookie button. But I'm the weirdo that's clicking options and deny everything, right? Like, let me be that person. At least I know that's maybe not the right, that's another form of security and privacy theater, but at least let me know the trade-offs that I'm making and don't try and hide them behind weird UI stuff like
It's
this.
still not as bad as recall too.
Ooh, man, you know what? Big tech undefeated in wanting to gobble up all of your data.
Yeah.
Shmooze pointing out bolt-on security is a real thing. Well, it's not even that. It's like putting in a deadbolt, but that doesn't like attach to the wall. Like
The door opens the other way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Also, schmooze with the grimacing pun. Fantastic.
Yeah. You know what? Again, where are my fry kids? Come on, folks. We got so much here. All right, let's move on to our next story here. Just one moment. Perfect Bluetooth flaws impact Mercedes, Volkswagen, and Skoda vehicles. This flaw impacts the Blue SDK Bluetooth stack from Open Synergy, used in vehicles from the vendors mentioned in our headline there, as well as others, since it's widely used in the automotive industry. It's kind of a standard stack. The flaw can be chained together into an exploit that researchers call Perfect Blue attack and can be delivered over the air by an attacker, requiring at most one click from a user. It was discovered by pen testers at PCA Cybersecurity. Interestingly, Open Synergy confirmed the flaws last year in June and released patches to customers in September 2024, but many automakers have yet to push the firmware updates. At least one major OEM learned only recently about the security risk. So, Jim, there's the rub. Flaw discovered, flaw acknowledged, patch issued, patch days ignored. Do you know of any, lawsuits that have emerged from this type of oversight? Do you anticipate more to come? I mean, it seems like we did all the things we needed to do, but someone didn't get there's another verification step, right? That has to go before they can push the OTA out to the car, right?
So this is actually funny coming from healthcare. Let me introduce you to the world of medical device vendors. Right, like there are things that haven't been patched that are 15 years old that we have to like constantly segment and isolate and segregate because the vendor just like, yeah, I'm not pushing that out. That's on you.
Wow.
So, like my wife has explicit instructions. If certain devices come near me, just go ahead and put a pillow over my head because I don't want to be patched by that unpatched thing. It's just, and it's not the healthcare industry's problem. It's the vendors just not wanting to patch, and you're just seeing it more publicly here with the cars because everybody is exposed to cars every day. I just want a car that's like the Millennium Falcon with actual switches again. Like let me control my AC with a knob is all I'm asking for. We don't need a Bluetooth connection for that.
You just want toggles on everything.
Yes. Toggle all the things, right?
This actually reminds me a lot of, as increasingly, these are just technology platforms, right? This technology platform moves, this technology platform sits in my pocket. This reminds me a lot of like all the Android fragmentation, like patching discussions that we've seen. This is the exact same thing of, the open source Android gets this patch or Qualcomm issues this patch, but it has to go through Samsung's vetting process before it gets pushed out. And oh, by the way, your device is a year out of support. It's 3 years old. I see this increasingly. It took us years to get to the point where manufacturers would come up with phones and say, hey, we're going to offer X number of years of security updates. I wonder if we're going to need that if that goes with your car's warranty as well. If we'll get the 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain and software update warranty coming soon.
Or they can have like an BMW, I see is the first one will do it. They'll have an E5 Microsoft level security license that you need for your car to have patching, right? Like it's with the AC switch you can get.
Yeah, and the heated seats, right? Yeah. Classic Beamer move.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our last story of the day. Google Cloud offers partial AI data sovereignty for UK customers. Google Cloud is taking steps to address data sovereignty concerns around AI data by offering UK-based organizations the options to keep Gemini 2.5 Flash machine learning processing entirely within the UK. This will be presented as an option in which a customer can select a Google Cloud's UK region, in this case, Europe West 2, when using Gemini 2.5 Flash to store data in that region. This means that machine learning computation, in other words, the processing of Gemini 2.5, can be limited to within the UK region. However, the same cannot be said for Gemini tech support, which will be shared by Google's global facilities and will remain a complicating factor in complete data sovereignty. So, Jim, again, on the surface, an AI story, but interestingly, and I think we're going to see a lot more of these, it's really a data sovereignty, an attempt to keep data within territorial boundaries per different national regulations and stuff like that. Given the economics of big data for AI, cloud, and just general computing, I'm curious, do you feel these regulations can stand up to the pressure of, hey, everybody wants to throw that data around, kind of as we were talking earlier?
There's a couple of things going on here. One, this to me is the equivalent of saying, yeah, I lick my envelopes at home before I mail my letter, right? Sure, we licked the envelopes in-house. The in-house licking was great and secure, but
Saliva sovereignty.
Yeah, exactly. Saliva sovereignty. The other part of it is there's a zero way a government regulation is going to keep up with the speed and scale at which everything is moving in the tech world. We've already seen that for the last 20 years. Also, you're dealing with, and I think Steve, we were talking to earlier, he mentioned that, what is NVIDIA, $4 trillion now? Do you think NVIDIA can't pay off a government to lobby for the right to be able to access that data? Like, let's take the wool off of our eyes, or whatever that phrase is at this point. That's me with my tinfoil hat again. So
there is a lot of industry incentive, we will
Yes.
say, to make these things a little bit more amenable, perhaps, to some of those $4 trillion.
Just like CCL there, right? Like GDPR, they want to relax GDPR. You think that's coming from the people, or do you think that's coming from the corporations that want that data?
I don't. CCL, you so canny. I can't believe you're that cynical, CCL. Obviously that's a popular mandate. Obviously, there can't be any other way to.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yes, I agree. That definitely seems. Listen, I understand there are new modes of business opening up, right? There is a balance to be struck always, right, between regulatory pressures, consumer protection, what industry kind of wants to push the envelope. But yeah, saliva sovereignty. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with saliva sovereignty. We also, I just got a big thank you to our audience today. Lots of fun stuff going on in the chat here. Fantastic McDonald's puns, each and every one of you. CCL, Mectronic, Schmooze, CPU UK, just everybody having a really fun time. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope if you like McDonald's puns, if you had a Fry Kids pun, by the way, feedback at CISOSeries.com. I need to hear it for that story. Come and join us, have some fun on a Friday. It's a great way to kind of kick start the weekend. Before we get out of here, though, before that weekend does start, Jim, any story? It was the McDonald's story, the facepalm of the day. Is there any other thing we need to mention here?
I read that story yesterday, and I've been facepalming since. Like, I think I only took my palm off my face for this podcast, right?
It was a driving hazard. He had to take an Uber because he just couldn't. It was just embedded facepalm. It's a service now McDonald's is offering. It's fantastic. Jim, where can people find you on the cyberspace if they are so inclined to check out what you're up to?
Apparently through Google. No.
Ask ChatGPT for a URL.
Right. No, LinkedIn, best way to reach out. I check it every couple of days because everybody's trying to sell me everything all the time. Just say, hey, saw you on the show. I'll get to you back. We'll connect and we can talk if you want to chat. So
fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Jim Bowie, VP and CISO over at Tampa General Hospital. I know you are a busy fellow. You're keeping warm down there in the great state of Florida. So thank you so much for taking time out and spend it with us, lending your wisdom. Had a blast. We will have to have you on before next summer for sure. Thanks also to our sponsor for today, Vanta, a new way to GRC. And another big thank you to our audience. We can't always get everything up on the screen, but you made it so much fun today. Thank you so much. And remember, if you can't join us live, feedback at CISOSeries.com. We would love to hear from you. Remember to join us next week, first for Super Cyber Friday, where our topic will be hacking vendor competition, an hour of critical thinking about when sales tactics cross the line, maybe when they don't too as well. So maybe some best practices for vendors. That starts at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then come on back for another episode of the Weekend Review. That starts at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. To register to join us for both, you can either head on over for this show to YouTube or just go to the events page, CISOSeries.com. We've got everything there, all the information pertinent that you need. In the meantime, you can get your daily news fix every single day through cybersecurity headlines. Give us about 6 minutes. we'll get you all caught up. Until the next time we meet, for myself, for our glorious producer, Steve Prentice, for Jim, for all of us here in the CISO Series conglomerate organization consortium, here's wishing you and yours to have a super sparkly day.
Cybersecurity headlines are available every weekday. Head to CISOSeries.com for the full stories behind the headlines.